Hey everyone, I'm Chef Dennis and welcome to Around the Kitchen Table, and I'm coming to you live from Ocean City, New Jersey in a kitchen, and we did have a good signal and I had two computers set up and I just couldn't get things to work. So hopefully maybe before next weekend. So you're gonna have to bear with us as I just push the camera down so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm gonna say hi to Susan. How you doing, Susan?
Hi, I'm great. I'm great, Chef. It's summer up here, and had a good weekend, and here it is Wednesday, and I don't know, time seems to have changed for me because I've gone through so much with the weddings and family here and so many things that it's just kind of everything stopped right away. And we sold our house last week. Right. So everything just stopped. So it's a good time for it to stop in summer, right?
Yeah. And how was your wedding?
Oh, oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was great. Nothing like a fun wedding. And let me tell you, I saw a side of my son that I have not seen before. The music he picked up, I felt like I was in Vegas. It's like trance music. I don't know what it is. It's like these songs go on for 20 minutes.
Oh my God, club music.
So yeah. So how about you? You're up north.
Yep. I'm in Ocean City, and so far it's been okay. We did go to Philly yesterday, and I used my horn more in 5 minutes than I had in years living in Florida. People are just, I tweeted, people in Florida are crazy the way they drive. People in the Northeast are seriously insane. This woman blocked the hole. She just pulled right in the middle of 3 lanes to block it.
Oh, that's because they all own the roads up here.
Oh my God. And I'm sitting in the middle of traffic. It was crazy. And people just pulling in front of you. And they're more aggressive. People in Florida are crazy and lackadaisical. They'll wave to you nicely and smile when they cut you off. Here it's like, you're ready to pull a weapon out or something.
Oh, it is. I know, it's funny. It's really funny because, I'll tell you something, even like parking here. We had an apartment in New York City for about 6 years, and we used to drive in on the weekend. And there's like a culture of parking where if you're going to park on the street in New York City in the residential areas, people know that when you're alongside a space and you're up ahead of it, they know to bypass you. It's a culture and kind of a manners thing. Out here in suburbia, in my town, you go up in order to put yourself in reverse and back in, and someone will go right in to that space. So yeah, there's all kinds of weird behaviors going on. I can imagine.
I know, it's fun. But anyway, Ocean City's beautiful. The weather has been wonderful. Lisa got a great place. Can't really see too much of it, but I'll show you a little bit. We have all these fish everywhere.
Oh!
And we have a lot of windows. The kitchen's actually pretty big. I'm sitting in it, and there's a nice dishwasher, a sink, lots of working area. So other than that, like I said, we walked in, the first thing I checked was the Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi was a better signal actually than my Verizon hotspot, and I figured out I could run a cord to it too, so that's what I did. But I don't know what happened with the other camera, but we'll just have to play it by ear. And guys, we don't have the comment tracker up because I spent all this time trying to get the camera straightened out. So
that's okay. I'm taking a look at the screen. So it's a better kitchen. It's an upgraded kitchen, or it's just a good kitchen.
It's spacious. There's a lot of stuff here. I did bring some tools with me, and I brought my coffee pot because I wasn't sure what they were going to have for coffee. But yeah, it's not bad. It's very livable. There's 2 bedrooms, 2 nice bedrooms. The air conditioner's a little loud, but other than that, at least we have an air conditioner. And most of the time we haven't needed it because the breeze so far has been so strong. So.
Okay, and is it gas or electric you're cooking with?
Oh, it's electric. But
no!
Yeah, well, we're actually not going to. I was going to bring my induction cooker, and I forgot it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make things that really don't, again, it would need to go in the oven for 20 minutes. We don't have enough time for the show. So I'm going to show you how to get it to that point, and then I will cook it later. We're going to have it for dinner, and then I'll take pictures and post it like I have been doing.
Yeah.
Making is the hard part, and then cooking it's just a matter of throwing it in the oven for 20 minutes and letting it cook. So this is something you could set up ahead of time. This is great for a party. You could do a dinner party, have them all prepped, put them in the oven when your guests get there, and just bake them off. So and everybody loves salmon. So we're going to work on some salmon today.
Everyone loves salmon. It's funny. I have not heard, I don't know if I've just been living in the wrong place or what, but I have not heard of stuffed salmon before.
I used to stuff it a lot at the restaurant. And actually, we're not going to stuff it per se as much as put it on top of this one.
Oh, okay.
You can go in the center. And I mean, salmon is really adaptable. I could put it in the center. And I just don't know if these are thick enough, but they look like they are. But I'm going to show you a really easy way to do it, and it's just basically placing it on top. And when you make a nice enough stuffing, sometimes it's not bad to see it on top. With like a flat fish, like a flounder or tilapia or something you can roll, you could put it in the middle and roll it, and then do a few rolls. But this is going to be more of a presentation dish. I actually had a dish like this, but it was with grouper. And it was this cream cheese stuffing when I was in Madeira Beach. And they had shrimp in it too. But I think the shrimp, for something like this, they were a little too big. And I don't know, it just didn't seem like it ate as well. It was more for effect and more to say you had shrimp in it.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't hear you say that you could make this before?
Yeah. I mean, you can cook it. You can prep it, set it up, make your stuffing, get a nice baking dish full. Let's say you were having a dinner party for 8, or you could set them all up ahead of time, or if you wanted to get a whole side of salmon, in it. Like I used to roast whole sides of salmon. I get these beautiful, I think they were like 3 to 4 pound sides. And you could just take the stuffing, go right down the center of it, roast it, and it would be freaking beautiful.
Yeah, what a presentation.
And even when you're thinking of salmon, if you have a fishmonger, someone that you can go to, or even sometimes these supermarkets they get the sides and they cut them. You might ask them, do you have a whole side? Just skin it for me. And buy a side from them, because you can grill it if you wanted to, or roasting. Grilling with salmon can get a little tricky because it'll break up when you're trying to turn it, and it's delicate. But if you put it in a nice roasting pan and you can come up under it with 2 spatulas, you can really set something really pretty up. And even if you didn't want to use crab meat, you could use something else with it.
Good. Well, let's do it.
Okay, so let's get started. And what I'm going to do is, let me point the camera down here. And I didn't even bring a chef's coat with me, so we're in.
It's okay. It's summer. We're casual.
Yes, we're casual. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with taking the skin off of it. And easy enough to do is you want to find the edge of the skin, and you want to get the knife in there and just kind of edge your way in. Now, sometimes it'll pull right off. And then once I get a little foothold here where I can hold it, I'm going to try and just stand up for this, hold it down, and just kind of go in here to where the skin is. And if you can get enough, I'm going to hold it flat on the cutting board, and I'm going to point my knife down towards the cutting board, towards the skin, and just very simply edge it on.
Wow, you're good. There it goes.
Well, I've had to do whole sides, and let me tell you something. A whole side comes off really easy once you learn how to do it, and it's the same principle. So again, it's just finding a little kind of finger hole. I could probably do the whole thing like this, but actually, once you can hold on to it, it's easy to just get. And this works pretty much with any fish.
Okay, so tell me, where did you get the salmon, and what kind is it?
This is Northwest salmon. And it's sockeye, and you can probably tell from the color because it's so bright.
Yeah, that's what is that colored? Is that the way it naturally is?
Northwest salmon tends to have, I don't know if it's got a little less fat in it or more fat in it, and that's why it's got the color or not. But it's just a much more deeper, richer, orangey color fish. And it's also the salmon that you want to eat. I talk about this probably every time I make salmon. Is most of the people, we have heard, how good salmon is for us. But what we haven't heard is that, farmed Atlantic salmon is not always the way to go. And that's what's out in the supermarkets, and that's what's less expensive. And it's not, it has too many other things wrong with it to give you enough benefits from what's good in it. So, farmed salmon, you got to be a little wary. That being said, sockeye, coho, wild caught, and don't be fooled by wild caught all the time, because wild caught is the buzzword. Just like natural was the buzzword, wild caught's the buzzword now. So it can be wild caught, but it can be wild caught from waters that you really don't want to eat it out of. So be very.
Yeah. Oh gosh! Wow. So okay, so then I'm nervous. Trader Joe's comes to mind for salmon, because they seem to have all these natural. They have the sockeye. They have the whatever. What's the other one called? There you go. Do you feel good about Trader Joe's salmon?
I haven't looked at it, so I can't comment on that. But I would say if it's sockeye or coho, you're probably safe because they're Northwest salmons. It's the Atlantic salmon, the less expensive salmon that you see in supermarkets and that you see pretty much selling. The Northwest is always going to be more expensive. Now, that being said, you can find it a lot of times at a reasonable price at the big box stores. Like I've gotten some really good seafood, and I mentioned before at Costco. I actually picked this up at Sam's Club, and it was 5 pieces of salmon, and I think it was like around $24. So that's not really bad for this type of food, for something that's that good for you. So
you know what else I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of mail order. I wonder if you did enough research, if you could find affordable but quality from the Northwest, maybe.
Yeah, I think you'd have to buy so much of it, it would get a little. It really wouldn't be worth the time and the trouble at that point. And if you can find a good frozen product, I would say go with that. I used to shop at Wegmans, and the good salmon there was $20 to $30 a pound. So, that tends to get a little price restrictive and making it more of just a very special occasion fish. Where you can go, Costco has done leaps and bounds. I should be working for them. I talk about them all the time. Leaps and bounds in organics and they actually are refusing to sell farm salmon because of the problems with it.
Wow.
It come out, and it was them and somebody else came out with a statement. There's been a few companies that are refusing to sell farm salmon. So, look, just read the labels, and just because it says wild caught, it might be wild caught in Vietnam, and that's not necessarily what you want to buy.
There you go. Yep.
Wild caught in the U.S., in the in the Pacific, it just depends. Like right now, the flounder is all wild caught, and it's coming from Iceland. So, I'm like, it's probably okay, but why aren't we getting flounder off the Jersey Shore right now? So.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we have this done. So that's really much the hard part of this dish, was taking the skin off and setting it up. So like I said, and a lot of times if you're buying it like this, IQF frozen, and came in these nice little individual packages, and it's got a date on it, Best by April 2016. So, and it was, again, product of the USA. So it's good to look for certain things, read your labels, and get this done. You could do this ahead of time, get them all done. Salmon is something that when a fish is frozen, it's not something you want to let thaw out a long time, because it'll start to get waterlogged and mushy. So thaw it out before you're going to use it, and then cook it that same day. Don't let it sit and thaw for too long.
Wow, that's a big tip.
Yeah. So here we're going to make up. This is why I'm limited on what bowls I have, so we're going to use this bowl, but it's pretty simple. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some cream cheese, and I bought softened whipped cream cheese because it's easier to work with. Okay, so that's going to go in there, and then
cream cheese. I love it already.
I hear you. And then
I'm
a little bit
in.
of mayonnaise, probably about half the cream cheese to mayonnaise. And I do use Hellmann's because it holds up in heat. And it's not so much that I'm pushing the brand, but after being a chef all these years, you kind of learn what works.
Oh yeah, I mean, is there anything other than Hellman's? But I'll tell you, I should do it again. I used to make my own mayonnaise.
Yep.
I did that, and oh, it's totally different taste.
Absolutely.
Really great.
And you know, that's okay, but you want to make sure, and eating it on a sandwich is one thing, but again, once it goes in that oven, you know, all bets are off, and it can break. So here, the one difference, it's almost like I'm making my imperial sauce, but with cream cheese. So I'm going to put an egg in there, and that's going to help bind it. And then what I do have is I have some spinach that I cooked off. And so I'm going to make this a very colorful, festive dish. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the spinach and I'm going to drain all the water out of it, squeeze it out. I wrapped it up in a little paper towel, or you could use a linen towel if you want to. Actually, linen would work much better because the paper is going to break up a little. And then once I've squeezed all the water out of it, or as much of it as I can, I'm going to put spinach in here. Spinach
is so useful. I just made a lasagna last week with spinach in it, and it adds so much. It adds the flavor, the texture, the color. Spinach is underrated.
Spinach is a wonderful product, but it does contain a lot of water. So that's one of the reasons I always say you want to cook it first and squeeze it out. Because if you put it in raw, it's wonderful. It'll work, but it's going to, you know, it might put a little too much liquid into it. So all I've done now too is I put in a little bit of roasted red pepper for color. So I have spinach and I have roasted red pepper. And now I'm going to season it with just a little bit of Old Bay because I like Old Bay.
Oh, nice. Good.
And just to give it a little bit of flavor, rather than add any salt or pepper in, I'm just going to put that in. And then it's just a simple mixing it up. Like I said, the egg is going to bind it.
Well, that looks terrific. I mean, I could, except for the egg, I could take a potato chip right now and use it as a dip.
And then I got some claw crab meat. You could use white crab meat, but you know, claw, there's nothing wrong with claw. It's tasty. It's usually half to a third of the price of white crab meat. And you know, unless I'm making, even with crab cakes, claw is pretty good. But unless I'm making something I really want to be showy, I would use.
Okay, so this is all claw meat?
This is all claw.
Okay, and was it canned or was it fresh?
This was pasteurized, but it was USA pasteurized. Or not USA, I'm sorry, it was Mexico.
Okay, so is that a bloody fortune?
No, actually it was $10 for
okay.
For a pound, so it wasn't bad at all. Okay, now this cream cheese did get a little soft by letting it stay out, and I may add a little bit more into it. Okay. But that's your stuffing.
Wow.
That's simple to make. So I'm gonna get another plate because I don't want to distract. Plate has all kinds of little shells on it.
You know, I'm almost wondering about once you cook the salmon, which probably is the worst idea, but you know, I come up with these bad ideas. I'm wondering if this would even be delicious room temperature.
The salmon?
Yeah.
It would not have to be steaming hot. I would not let it sit for a long time. But that being said, it doesn't have to be incredibly hot. Like if you were going to set it, fine the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, you know, cook it, refrigerate it, maybe have it for a lunch. Take it. I don't know.
Well, you know, it's not going to be. It's really not going to be quite as good. The stuffing is not going to set quite the way you might want it to if it's cold. So anyway, that's it. And then, you know, if you want to make it look a little bit, just take a little bit of breadcrumbs.
Oh yeah, you got to have the breadcrumbs.
Just sprinkle a little bit of breadcrumb on top of it. And then when you bake it, like always with seafood, when you put it in the oven, you want to put it in the oven with a little water on the pan So if I had a baking dish and I wanted to set these up for a party, and actually this will firm up a little bit more as it sits. And again, you could kind of cut a little side pocket in it if you really wanted to, or if you want to use this with flounder or fluke or tilapia or another kind of a white fish, you could roll this up inside of it.
So the purpose of the water in the pan is to keep the fish moist?
Yeah, to keep it from drying out.
Okay.
Remember that fish started off in the ocean, and just think of it that way, as you're adding a little water, because it'll just, if you put some water in the pan with it as it cooks, instead of the pan sucking the rest of the moisture out of it as much, the water will help. The water will evaporate, or sometimes you have a little bit of a juices will mingle with that, and you have a little bit of flavoring that you can pour over the fish when you serve it too. So.
That's interesting. It makes me think about, I just got, as part of my new appliances, I just got a new steam oven.
I remember you saying.
And you can regulate the amount, the percentage of steam. I think there are about 5 different, 0%, 10, I don't know, 20, 50, the percentage of steam, and it can be steam and convection also. Or it can be steam by itself or whatever. So that might be something, good to play around with.
Yeah, the steam would definitely help keep it moisture, and would probably be great with fish.
Yeah.
And also, I'm thinking it's got to be really good if you bake bread. So.
Yeah. Boy, maybe we can work in a steam oven into your kitchen. What do you think about that?
It wouldn't be bad. I'd be up for that, I'm telling you.
I think you have room for it. I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So this is my way to turn a regular day into an extra special day.
It sure is. It is. Wow.
And I will post pictures of it after we cook it. Like I said, we're going to have for dinner tonight, so I'll take pictures and I'll do a blog post, and I'll make sure I have the recipe and everything with it. And it's not an unhealthy. I know people are saying, "Oh, there's cream cheese." Well, you can use the reduced fat if you like to.
I was just going to ask you about that.
You could use reduced fat, and you could actually use brie if you wanted to. You could mix some other cheeses into this if you like to, and make it a little more cheesy. A little cheddar or a little mozzarella or something else. I wouldn't put any flavors that were going to conflict too much, because you don't want the cheese to be the star. You want those flavors to be subtle and nice in the background. You want the seafood to be the stars.
And what about dill? For some reason, I'm thinking of dill with...
Dill would work good, and you could pre-season the salmon a little before you put the stuffing on it too. And if you wanted to put a little dill in there with that, you could do that as well. But dill would be a nice, again, don't overuse any kind of a spice, because again, you don't want that to be the prominent flavor. You want it to have a nice subtle taste in the background. You could even do a little bit of a dill butter or a dill cream, just let it reduce in that to get the flavor, and you could serve it with that as well, or brush it on. Okay,
so you put the whole thing in the oven, or you put that on top separately?
What's that?
The stuffing.
The stuffing is going on just like this. It's going to roast in the oven.
Oh, it's got roast in the oven. Okay, for how long?
For 20 minutes.
Okay.
At 350 degrees. That's generally my benchmark for everything. I try and keep it simple, so 350 degrees. And if it was just the salmon, I would say probably 12 to 15 minutes. And you want to make sure, one thing, again, fish overcooks. When fish overcooks, it's dry. It becomes, not as tasty. Don't be afraid to keep it just on a little bit of that edge of the not quite done side.
That's exactly how I like my salmon. In fact, when I order in a restaurant, I ordered medium rare. Which is maybe a little less done than most people like it.
Well, that's because they're going to cook it past what you want it anyway, more than likely. So that's like a buffer for ordering something a little bit less, because you can always cook it a little bit more. Once it's done, you can't take it back.
Right.
Most fish will benefit from not being overcooked, because once you cook them longer, you're sucking more of the moisture out of them, more of the water out of them, and it starts to just lose its texture and its flavor, So you're better off, like I said, just you want it done, but you don't want it to be overdone. So.
Yep. Now, what do you think? What sides do you think would be good with? I'm thinking about quinoa. Thinking about I don't know, rice pilaf. What do you think?
Any rice or grain dish would be wonderful with this. Even, depending upon how your tastes run, I would serve it with potatoes au gratin. I would serve it with green beans. I would serve it with a nice tomato salad. It's really kind of limitless on what you can serve with. It's more or less what you like. And even summertime, I like putting corn in all my grains during the summer because I can and because it's plentiful. So, maybe some fresh vegetables into your grain, into your quinoa or into your rice or into your whatever else, you'd like to make, or an orzo, hot orzo salad, anything like that would be really tasty.
Yep. I think that looks great. I even like the red and white combination.
It's festive, and a lot of times when you're stuffing things, as long as you're not doing it every day, keep a jar of roasted red peppers in there. You don't have to roast them yourself, and it doesn't have to be spinach. It could be kale, it could be chard, it could be escarole, it could be any other green. I just like greens, and it doesn't have to have the cream cheese or the mayonnaise in it. Mix them together. You can put a little of other cheeses with it. And just mix all three things together and stuff whatever you're stuffing with it. So
good. I think that's a great. Now you're having that tonight?
We're having that tonight, and I'm not sure what I'll serve it with yet. I do have rice and I do have potatoes. I may roast some potatoes. I'm thinking right now. Mm-hmm. Do some roasted potatoes. The Jersey tomatoes are not in yet, and the tomatoes we're getting are kind of like cardboard. So. I'm waiting for the Jerseys. The Florida tomatoes were better, and actually, I don't think we have Jersey corn yet, and the Florida corn was a little bit better.
No, it's too early for corn, but the tomatoes should be good.
The tomatoes should be coming in
before
we go, and we'll get to enjoy that. Maybe some of the peaches once they start coming out. So.
Great. Now that I went to New Jersey not too long ago, and I went to Cape May. How far are you from Cape May?
Cape May, we're about 45 minutes, and we were there on Monday.
Oh, you were? What a nice place, huh? I was there for the first time. Really nice place.
We drove down to the Point. Have you ever been to the Point?
No.
So next time you're there, go to the lighthouse, and it's about 7 to 10 minutes more that you got to drive. And you'll go down into you'll think you're going into the wilderness, and some of the houses down there, once you drive back, oh my God.
The old Victorian ones?
The new Victorian ones.
Wow.
The new ones they're building. I have never seen houses this big. When we were driving along the promenade, which is their boardwalk, which is blacktop, and the houses along the promenade as you go to the north end of the island are humongous. I mean, they're insane. I can't believe people got that much money.
Wow. I know it's really enjoyable. I love the coastline in the Northeast. In the summer, and there's some kind of. I spent a lot of time, up on the Cape in the summertime, and it's just so beautiful.
Cape May seemed more like a New England town, though, than it seemed more like a fishing town. I mean, even though there's a lot of people now, it didn't have that same touristy feeling as Ocean City or some of these other shore towns have.
You know what I'd like to do sometime during this summer? I don't know. I'm getting more interested in ribs. Mm-hmm. I don't think we've done ribs.
I do ribs. I'm not a griller by any stretch.
No, yeah, but you don't have to grill them.
No, I don't. I use my slow cooker.
Yeah.
We eat ribs regularly now because I figured out how to do it in a slow cooker, and they are marvelous. And you could do them in your oven if you don't have a slow cooker.
Right.
It's like a lot of time to leave your oven on, and it's not something you necessarily want to do in the summertime. But you can get the same results in the oven. Like when I would do a pork, I would roast pork a nice, to make pulled pork, I would roast it for 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours. In a slow cooker, you can do it 4.5, 5 hours.
Love pulled pork. Yep. Yeah, love it, love it, love it. So that's a good, it's funny because they're heavy dishes, but we associate them with summer.
Yeah.
And, I like having pulled pork. Sometimes when my kids come, or if they'll come for the weekend, I'll make a whole big batch. And then over the course of the weekend, someone grabs a hamburger bun, heats it up in the microwave. And then, there's a whole lunch.
Yep. Pulled pork is wonderful. And if you just roast it and you don't barbecue it or do anything like it, but if you just cook it down, you can always add the seasonings to it, sauces, season it basically, add the rest later. And if you portion it up and freeze it, pulled pork is one of the best sauces for pasta too. Like if you take that pork and you make a nice tomato sauce with it and serve it over tagliatelle or something wide. Actually, I talked to a guy from Texas. We're going to be doing something with wild boar once I get back to Florida. He wants to send me some wild boar to work with. And same thing, only more flavorful. He says, I don't think, we can't say it, but I don't think they've been given any hormones or antibiotics. I said, I would guess not if they're wild pigs.
That's right. That's right. Oh my gosh. That'll be definitely worth tuning in for. So I look forward to lots of, local New Jersey foods and, all these Northeast specials. So how long are you in Florida for?
We're in New Jersey. And
I'm in New Jersey. Till
around the 20th of July. So about 3 weeks after this weekend. And we got the 4th coming up. So we'll have a few more shows and then we'll be heading back to Florida and Lisa will be getting ready for work and we'll be having a good time down there again.
All right.
Very good. So thank you for joining us around the kitchen table and for bearing with us through all our little technical glitches, but we are here with you today and I'll see you next week.
Yep. Bye-bye.